This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I am so excited because I have two future Hall of Famers, one for sleep, the other for football, Jason Witten and Kevin Brown. First of all, I'm Dave Meltzer, Sleep Number 50. This is Kevin Brown, Chief Marketing Officer of Sleep Number.
Sleep Number 40.
Sleep Number 40. Jason Witten, future Hall of Fame football player, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. What's your number?
Sleep Number 40 as
well.
well.
Oh, really? So it fits any size, obviously.
It's individualized.
I thought maybe 50, you were smaller or something. I guess not.
Yeah, it's all individualized, man.
So I do a lot of executive coaching, and I teach about studying your calendar. And when I started doing it myself, paying attention to what I do and intention into it, one thing I realized by studying my calendar was the biggest chunk of my calendar was sleep. And I had never studied sleep. I didn't have a sleep coach. I tell guys my entire career, you got to get a coach for this. Even when they transition out of the league, I'm like, get a business coach. You've had one your whole life on the field, get one off the field. I got a sleep coach, and the first thing she told me was to buy a Sleep Number bed, that I needed to understand the data and also have the best bed I could find. She goes, you own a Ferrari, but you don't own the Ferrari of beds. And so, looking at that, I'll start here, because you're the expert, we'll comment off of this. To last as long as you have in the league at a brutal position, it's one thing to be a kicker or a long snapper, but to be a tight end, one of the most, collision-based, every play you're having contact, how important is recovery, and how does sleep relate to that recovery?
Well, recovery is the number one thing for any athlete. The ability to do it again tomorrow and the next day. Consistency is what they're looking for in the NFL, and the only way you can do that is if you feel good. And with recovery, I think it's proven the number one priority for that is your sleep. You spend the most time doing that, and so not just your sleep, but how the quality of that sleep and what that looks like. And so you got to make it important to you. You got to. I'm doing the same thing with my kids with what I'm teaching them, and everything flows from that, not just your physical ability, but your mental capability to be able to be clear and think and make quick decisions. It all goes into allowing an athlete to be at his peak, and that's all we can ask for, and certainly Sleep Number's done that for us.
It's so interesting because, whether it's Tony Gonzalez, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, all the different people that I meet, they're actually people that had their Sleep Number before they got involved with the company as well, which I think is really organic, including Katie Couric, who I met at CES. Kevin, one of the things about sleep to me is that not only is it a brutal sport, it's the travel that gets to athletes as well. And I'm pitching Starwood to get Sleep Number beds because I've never recognized when you're traveling, how important is it to figure out the data as you're traveling so you can reconcile it with the bed that you have?
Yeah, I'd say, look, there's a couple things going on. Like people like Jason, and world-class athletes, they know that quality sleep is important every night, and that routine is super important. And but for the rest of us and the rest of America, which we're trying to get turned on to this, is that they think it's the hours of sleep. If you say I don't sleep well, it's like I didn't get enough hours. It's really the quality of sleep, and what you sleep on really matters. And so, as you know, we don't have those deals in place. So the best thing you can do is learn from the data that you're getting every night on what works for you, and really keep it routine. So make sure that you're using the same routine. But the funniest thing is, we all are here down in Miami this week, and we're just like, we can't wait to get back to our Sleep Number bed. We're living a really good time, but it's like, we can't wait to get back to that bed.
I do feel a difference, and on the marketing side, it's hard to educate the market without the authentic side of because I read this morning, you're going to use every opportunity to exhaust any opportunity that you have to play.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I think USA Today or whoever used the word exhaust. I'm thinking that guy never gets exhausted.
Yeah.
But beyond exhaustion, the physical recovery, there's a wellness side. As I've studied this, in the wellness side of just not getting sick. If you're playing sick or working sick, and especially here at the Super Bowl, with all the different things going around, it's interesting the people that I see that have a greater rest seem to be more immune, and the people that are always tired seem to get sick a lot. Have you found that your level of immunity has grown as well?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's what he was just saying, Kevin was saying, I think part of that is making it a priority to have it consistent, and getting on a schedule with that, and it really is, it's created a way of life in a lot of ways, with the ability to be able to create a good night's rest, and not just for me, but my wife and now my kids, and Look, I think the most successful people I've ever been around, especially athletes, I mean, they have an infectious personality. There's just something to them that you grab to, you know. I mean, and I think that all starts with they do the little things well, and they make it a priority in their life. They don't maybe talk about it all the time, but they're allowed to be at their best at critical times because they do all the little things when nobody's watching. And, you know, to me, that's what we're talking about right now, is to be able to perform at a high level. Yeah, you can do it with the God-given ability, but if you really want to extend that out and do it for a long period of time, you better make all the sacrifices and make it a commitment.
Yeah.
And that type of commitment, you know, I've been with Jerry Jr., Steve, there at the Cowboys, and I thought, you know, it's been a couple of rough seasons for Jerry, and, you know, he wants to win that Super Bowl so bad again. I was thinking maybe we should gift him a sleep number bed. He looks exhausted.
I think they've done that before.
Taken care of.
Yeah, let's get that guy rested. Because that mental stress, though, the emotional stress, is a lot that we have to deal with as executives.
Yeah, that's true.
What I have found, you know, I have a sleep coach, and I didn't realize the consultative information that Sleep Number gives outside of just not only which bed to select, you know, according to your lifestyle or your marriage style, et cetera, because there's so many different options. But what do you guys do on the consultative research side so that you can hit the immunity, the wellness, and the exhaustion side of what we do?
Yeah, so a couple of things, and Jason's using his data amazing. So every night we're capturing your heart rate, your breathing rate, your restful time in bed, your restless time in bed. That gives you your sleep IQ score, which is the quality of sleep. And you know, really the bed is your coach. And so that we're giving you insights and tips to say, hey, you know, you had a hard workout that day, you had a hard training day, or you're recovering after a big game. Like, you really need to soften up your side by 5, and, you know, that's to optimize that recovery, right? And one of the things you're talking about, immunity and all that sort of thing. We just, from all of our data that we're capturing, we're able to show that just using our bed, which is effortless, you get 15 more minutes of quality sleep a night, which is 100 hours a year. And you guys know this in the games, but that improves we know it's linked to improving your immunity system, improving your productivity, 2 to 3 times better productivity. So you talk about being a better husband, better father, better business guy. It matters. And we can do that. Again, the simple answer is, you know, get the bed, right? So
The interesting thing I think about with sleep too is the emotional aspect of it. On the field, you're getting so much more data than when you started playing.
Yeah.
You know, they know how much oxygen you're taking in when you're sprinting, and they're tracking in the game how you're slowing. I mean, it's amazing. And now we get that same data when we sleep. The interesting thing is, you know, and you see this during the draft, even Dak wasn't a first round draft pick, but yet, you know, maybe the best young quarterback in the league. You know, there's an emotional aspect that we can't measure, but all of the other indicators, so you have these players that you never would think, you know, historically, a Steve Largent, who runs a 5'1", you know, but there's something inside of them, and, you know, everyone has their challenge. Even looking at this specimen here, I've been around great athletes. I always joke, I'm like, you know, there's thousands of guys as big as Jason, as fast and as strong, but the emotional side is what I feel has changed in my life. The happiness factor, you could say. All of these different things may be hyper technical, but, you know, somebody watching this at home, an entrepreneur that isn't happy, you know, because everyone's telling them, you know, go back to the cubicle. You're going to risk everything. We're going to lose everything. I've lost everything as an entrepreneur and made it back, so I know that emotional journey. How emotionally different do you feel? And I know you even made a comeback to the team, which had to be an emotional decision.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, I think you're right. I mean, in this day and age, I think just for athletes in general, but really in business, I think as well, you know, everybody's got an opinion, and everybody tells you how you should do it or what you're doing. And I just feel like if you listen to that outside noise and allow that to define who you are, then that's a lonely way to go about it, you know. And but it's hard. You know, I mean, athletes today, it's a much more of a challenge because you could be working on something at practice, but then, you know, it comes across Dak Prescott, and he was 4 for 9 today at practice. He had a tough day. Well, he was working on something, you know, and Joe Montana and Troy Aikman, they didn't have to deal with that from a media standpoint, you know, 20 years ago. And so it's allowed the game to grow. There's so many more opportunities for that, but I just think the mental capacity to be able to block that out and, you know, have the self-confidence to be critical of yourself, to look at it and say, okay, nobody's expectations are higher for me than myself's are, and start there. And then, set your goals, be able to kind of have that mental toughness to fight through it, and don't let other people define you, and in business, I'm sure it's the same way. Don't be afraid to step out and believe in something and do it with people you enjoy being around, and let the product speak for itself.
You know that all Sleep Number employees use their beds because they've had exponential growth since I've watched it, up into the billions, which is really smart. They're like prophesizing their success by making sure everyone. But one of the things also about the emotional aspect on the field, but even off the field, Kevin, is decision making. And as a parent, as an executive, as an entrepreneur, now as a media guy, making decisions when you're tired can cost a ton of money.
Yeah, and
sometimes it can cost your marriage if you say the wrong thing.
That's true, and especially as an entrepreneur, a leader on the field, there are a lot of people counting on you, and it is. It's science backed that if you're not getting great quality sleep and not taking care of yourself, you're not making the best decisions. And we know that in the same stimulus, you'll react 2/3 of the time negatively. Yeah, or emotionally, and make the wrong decision. And so we're on a mission. That's why we work with Jason. We work with the Cowboys. Is that we're about improving lives. We're about improving performance, and we want everybody to be at their peak of performance. Whether that's your best dad, your best business person, your best tight end. So.
And I've worked with tons of athletes and tons of brands, and one of the things that I find is sometimes it's not an authentic fit.
Yeah.
Right? You're like forced to say, I love this pizza.
Yeah, right.
And then you find out the guy doesn't even like pizza.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like about Sleep Number, dealing with brands, also with the athletes that you've chosen and they've chosen you, which is great.
It's a match, right?
But also the philanthropic side, right? Both of your company and Jason are so involved in the community.
Absolutely.
And it's so important, not just the sleep and to tell and teach everyone to be well and healthy and have a great immune and make great decisions and emotionally be balanced. But I personally really wanted to come in here because you do so much for the community. Jason, can you, just let us know what you're working on now in the community and with Sleep Number as well?
Yeah, well, first off, I took my family in the Sleep Number store in Dallas where I live, and I have 2 young daughters, and they're running all over the place, and the fact that they were babysitting while my wife and I could see which bed we like the best, and go through it, and blankets and pillows and everything else. It just goes to doing things the right way, and being first class. And that lady who was doing that, she wasn't told to do, hey, watch Jason's kids while he can get on this bed. And so, for me, I just think a big part of my story is my foundation. Most people know my dad went through a lot of challenges and was in a lot of domestic violence that our family went through. And so at our SCORE Foundation, we just try to put mentors in place at the shelters across Texas, which are focused on the women and getting them back on their feet. But we focus on the kids that are there. And I had a grandfather who was a high school football coach that brought me in and allowed me to chase my dreams and really showed me what a man looked like. And so we hire these guys to go into these shelters, and where a lot of that attention is on the mom and getting her back on her feet. And we just try to love on those kids and pour into them, be mentors, just like I had my grandfather, and just seeing great results for that. And it's been awesome.
In such a large company, you guys are involved in supporting Jason's charities as well as Katie Couric with the colon cancer and the others.
Cancer,
and every single one of the athletes and celebrities and entertainers that I talk to that are attached in any way and aligned, they're always not only bragging about their beds, but really about your company and the executives and management of your company, of how supportive they are to their causes. What is the philosophy behind the giving back approach? Because it seems different than a lot of other companies.
Yeah, it goes back to the core of our company. We're a purpose-driven company, and we're really mission-driven. And it goes back, and our mission is to improve lives through individualized sleep experiences. We don't believe in mass-produced human beings. Everyone's an individual. That's the way our products come out, and it starts, when you're a kid. And so we believe in teaching kids healthy habits, taking care of kids in lots of different ways. That's why we support Jason, but that's who we are as people.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's what we're here. We got to make things better for being on this planet.
Last quick question I always love to ask. Best piece of sleep advice. Kevin?
Foot warmer. Warm your feet, helps you fall asleep faster
There you
all
go.
day long.
Jason.
Great pillow, man. You gotta have a great pillow.
Don't do anything that stresses your brain out when you go to sleep. This is Dave Meltzer with Kevin Brown. And of course, number 50, you didn't know that, Jason Witten, future Hall of Famer. Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.